Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today I'll be analyzing the moisture content found within the movie The Snowman. There's not a lot of moisture content found within the movie The Snowman. This movie is abominable. It's a fucking abominable snowman. I'm gonna go ahead and get my favorite part of this movie out of the way right now. It's the main character's name, Fassbender's character's name. It's Harry Hole. It's a fucking fantastic name for a character. That was also my nickname throughout high school since I was known for my hairy chocolate starfish. Now in this movie, Harry Hole's got a very difficult case to crack, and almost as difficult as his case is watching this movie. This movie is a convoluted mess, an absolute dumpster fire of editing. It's truly horrible. Nothing flows together well at all. 1 second, Harry Hole's investigating something that's pretty straightforward and makes sense, and then the next scene is a lady falling around the mayor of Oslo who's taking pictures of some titties. There was no lead up to it, no explanation for it, and when it happens, it's never talked about again. It's like this movie was filmed over top of someone's home movie, and they forgot to edit that part out. There was just no reason for it. It served no purpose. And that's just kind of how this movie works. It goes from one scene to the next, and there's really no relation between the two scenes for the most part. From after taking pictures of the titties, I don't remember what scene came next, but I'm sure it was something equally as out of place. Probably just playing fucking finger puppets for an elementary school somewhere in Oslo. The movie just had horrible editing. It made it just unpleasant to watch. The story itself could have been interesting. It had an interesting premise, and I really liked the setting, and the visuals were pretty good as well. But that's all I have good to say about this. Everything else was awful. They had so many little subplots that didn't play a role. They had a really great cast of actors and actresses, but they didn't utilize them. They just didn't do anything with them. It was just really horribly done. Val Kilmer's in this movie, and he's redubbed. And the redub is so bad. It's such an out-of-place redubbing. It sounds like some type of anime fanfic that's commentated on YouTube by a group of teens. It's some of the worst I've seen. And the sound editing is also really bad. Some things that are supposed to be loud or supposed to have a certain sound like some type of 8-bit video game sound effect. It's horrible. It's some of the worst sound editing and dubbing I've ever heard in a professional production. It's really, really bad. But the worst thing about it is just how messy it is, because there's really no relation from one scene to the next, and it doesn't do a good job of explaining the thought process behind the investigation here. They just kind of make these wild assumptions and then just get somewhere, get closer to it. You even forget some of the characters' names throughout the movie because they say the characters' names as if you're supposed to already be familiar with them, like you're supposed to have already read this book this movie's about, and they only say the character's name once, and then they become an important character but never say the name again, so you don't even know who the fuck that is. You have to refer to that character as Bald Man, or some other embarrassingly simple caveman type name, Beard Man in chair number 3, because they didn't give him a fucking name more than once. It's just a really badly made movie. The book I hear is super great. I never read the book, but I hear the book is better than the movie, which you hear every single time there's a movie made about a book. But it'd be hard for this book to be worse than this movie. It's really, really bad. I mean, there's really not a whole lot more to say about this. The only good things is the name Harry Hole, and that's just more of a joke good thing than anything. But the setting is nice. I think the setting of Oslo is really nice, and the visuals are pretty well done. But everything else is just super fucking bad. Horrible sound. Horrible put together story and it had like a decent premise, but it was just so badly put together. Fuck it, let's just go right into the moist meter. This is a 20%. There's really not a whole lot more that needs to be said about it. The movie is just a mess, and you can tell that it was really rushed, and based on what I've read, there was a lot of scenes they didn't shoot, so they had a lot of inconsistencies and they had to change shit around and completely fuck things up in editing, and it shows in this movie. There's just a lot of wasted potential with this, and it's not really worth seeing as a so bad it's good movie either. And that's it. See ya.